Are you living on a low income or on one income and you're not really sure how you're actually going to stick to your grocery budget or how you're going to get your budget for your groceries lower than it is right now? Well, I have 7 tips for you today that helped us as a family of 5 on one income to stick to our low grocery budget and how you can also do that. Hey friends, and welcome back to another video. Now for those that don't know us yet, we are a family of 5. There are 3 children in the house. They are 9, 7, and almost 4 years old, and they eat quite a bit. So I usually cook for 6 people, and we do this on one income. My husband works and I am a stay-at-home mom, and I have perfected over the years how we actually are able to live on one income and how we can have a pretty low grocery budget. So I wanted to share with you the 7 things that we do as a family to stick to our budget and how you can also do that. So let's start with number 1, and that is one of the more obvious ones, and that is just to eat out less. Make more meals from home, because eating outside of the house, especially when you have children, is very expensive. When you're just the 2 of you, it's probably not that expensive and you might be able to fit that into your budget, but as soon as the kids come around, it is gonna be so expensive. So focus more on creating meals at home. Now that leads us to number 2, and that is to create a meal plan. And there are many different ways that you can create a meal plan. You can plan out every single thing that you're gonna eat during the day. So you can plan out breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinners, everything. But what I like to do, and what I believe helps most of the people, is to just create 5 to 7 meals, depending on what you're doing in the weekend or how often you still want to eat out, even though you should skip that. But if you want to eat out or you're going to family or whatever, I usually have 5 to 7 dinners planned out, and I buy everything for those dinners. But what I do is I make the meal plan, but I don't set a specific day to the meal. So let's say I wanted to have pasta pesto during the week. I don't say I'm gonna have it on Tuesday. I just add it to my list. I buy everything that I need for it. And during the week, I look at, okay, what actually makes sense to make right now? What do we want to eat this week? What do we need to use up before a specific day? Or what makes the most sense right now? So I just have the meal. So I have the 7 meals usually for us. I have 7 meals written down, and I just pick and choose something on the day itself. So I make sure I can make all the 7, but I don't have it set to a specific day. Now, in order to create those meals, there's a few things that really help me. Now, the first one is look at your fridge and pantry. Make sure that what you have in there is actually used up. So I always, before I create a grocery list, I go to my fridge and I look at what do I have here. So what needs to be eaten? For example, maybe we have some apples that are almost going bad, so I need to make something with apples. So we might have oatmeal with apples, or maybe we have some carrots, so I need to make something with carrots. So it depends on what is in the fridge first, what I'm gonna write down, and then look at, okay, what am I gonna make this week? So when I've written down what is in the fridge, I also go to the freezer and write down what we have there. Not necessarily that it has to be eaten, but just to know what I have there and what could turn into a meal when I combine everything. And then I go into the pantry and see, okay, I have, let's say I have pasta sauce, I have, I don't know, some vegetables that I need to use up, and I have beef. Okay, so we can actually eat a pasta this week. So I turn everything into one meal if that is possible. If not, I will just purchase some extra items, but I try to make sure that what I have can be used up in the next weeks. So that is the number 1 thing that really helps me to empty out my fridge. Now, the thing is, on Friday, we get our new groceries. So on Thursday, the fridge is basically empty. Now, Thursday is also our leftover day, which I'll get to later, but that makes the Thursday the day where everything is gone. So my fridge will look very sad on a Thursday evening or on a Friday morning. And that is the point, because I want to make sure that everything that is in there is actually used, and I don't want to throw away too much or anything if possible. So I really love the fact that on a Thursday, my entire fridge is empty. So that is what I do. And then on a Friday, I can actually clean the fridge because there's hardly anything in it before the new groceries come. So that is an extra bonus tip for you there. But it really helps to have a Thursday and have it as the fridge day. And then on a Friday, you can fill it back up with all the fresh new goodies. Now, like I said, we always have a leftover day, and leftovers are not necessarily our favorite in the house. My husband is not a big fan of having leftovers, but That is just what makes it so much easier to stay on a budget, because a lot of times I will cook things for 6 people. And when I make pasta, everything is eaten. We don't really have anything left over because this family loves Italian food. So when we have pasta, I don't really have much leftovers, maybe a little bit of pasta sauce, but that's it. But when I cook rice, for example, I will always have a leftover because we don't like rice. So usually when we have rice, I have something left over and I put that in the fridge. Everything goes into the fridge. But if it's made on a Sunday and I know that Thursday is going to be my leftover day, I will also put things in the freezer because I don't want it to be in the fridge for too long. But I will either put it in the fridge or the freezer, and then on a Thursday I will get everything out of it and we just display a whole buffet of stuff that we can eat. Now sometimes we have so many things that we cannot even eat it on a Thursday, and then I will eat it during the rest of the week, maybe for lunches, for example. But if it's not enough, then I will just add something to it. So I will add a salad to it, or I will make dinner rolls, or just something that we can eat with the leftovers. So I just make sure that on a Thursday, I don't do as much cooking. I actually don't even cook anything. Maybe I cook an egg, but that's it. And we make sure that everything that is in the fridge is eaten. So when you look at meal planning, that is actually one day taken care of already, because every Thursday, for us at least, it's Thursday, it is leftover day. So I only have to come up with 6 dinners. So that makes it a lot easier for us. Now, for the other 6 meals, there's another thing that I really love to do, and that is look at all the deals. Now, we have 2 name brand stores and an Aldi very close to us. So I look at all those all the deals that they have and just make as many meals as I can with the deals. So sometimes I can fill up my entire week with deals. Sometimes there's hardly anything that I want to have. Depends on the week, depends on the season, but I always look at the deals and make sure that if there is something that I can take advantage of, I will. Now, for example, we love butter, and I always go to Aldi because the butter there is the cheapest in our area. But last week it was on sale at a name brand store, so I got a really good brand of butter, and having 2 packages of those was even cheaper than finding the package at the Aldi. So those are things that I look for, because sometimes the name brand is less expensive than the one at the Aldi, and sometimes it's the other way around. So you really need to pay close attention to, what do I buy? Is it actually a good sale? And can I make something with it? So that is what I love to do. Look at the deals from the stores and create a meal plan around it. Now, in order to create the other 6 meals, it is also really important to have a bunch of low budget meals that you can pick and choose from. It is so easy that whenever I don't know what to make, I just go through our tried and true recipes that we love and I just pick one. And I know they're low budget, I know we love them, I know they're delicious, and those are the ones that I will choose. So that is really, really easy. Now, we have a ton of recipes that we love and that I've actually decided to turn into an ebook. So that is coming next week. So stay tuned for that. I really am doing the finishing touches on it, so you can actually eat all the things that we love as well. So like I said, stay tuned for that. I will put a link down below where you can actually sign up for my newsletter, so you're the first one to hear about it. But that is one of our favorite things to do, to just pick and choose things that we know we are going to love and that I know that are not going to break the bank for us and that are actually able to fit into our budget. Okay, and then the last tip is actually the biggest one, and that is, how are you actually going to stay within budget? Now, I have a set budget, and it's very important to have a good budget for your family. Know what is actually a good budget. So how much do you need? You can say, okay, I want to spend $50 a week. But if you're a family of 10 people, that is not realistic. So make sure you have a realistic budget, but you can actually keep it on the lower side. So what do? My whole process basically involves around 5 steps. So the first thing I do, like I just said, I go and look at the freezer, the fridge, the pantry, everything that I have. Then I will look at all the deals and I will make a list of everything that we have. And then I will look at those 2 and say, okay, can I turn it into a meal? Or do I need to add things? So those are the first 2 things that I always do. Then I will create a grocery list into the name brand store app. I don't know if that is available in the United States. We live in the Netherlands, but I make a list in like a Walmart app, and it actually says the price next to it. So for example, I will put in bag of apples and it says how much it is. And it also says the amount that it's going to be. So for example, 2 kilograms and it's going to be $3. So I know how much it is and how much it's going to cost me. So that is what I do always. And from there, I look at, okay, what is going to be the total? So in the app, obviously, it will say the total amount. And if it's too much, then I will take things off. If I have money left over, then I can fill it up with stock items. And that is actually a very important thing. That is basically my fourth step. So I put everything into it, and then I look at my budget. And I will look at, okay, does this actually stay within budget? If it does, that's great. I will just add things that I can use. So for example, pastas or pasta sauce or oats, milk, whatever, things that we're going to use anyway, I can add that into the list until I reach the budget, because I always use everything that I have for my budget just to make sure that I can actually stock up on my pantry and in my freezer. If that list actually goes over budget, I will take things out. So for example, I will put things in for a pasta bolognese and I have everything in there, and then I see that I'm over budget. Well, I could take out the beef because there's always beef in my freezer. I always have that. And on the weeks where I have leftover money for my budget, I will stock up my freezer with beef. So I can actually take it out in the week that it's too much. So I will take things out that are taking too much of my budget. So that will be meats, or if it's just a couple bucks, I will take out some pasta sauce or the oats or whatever. And I take everything out until I reach my budget. Now, I always make a list that is a little bit over budget because Aldi is cheaper. So I always know that I'm gonna save a little bit of money by going to the Aldi. So I will put everything in the list. I go $5 to $10 over budget, and then I go to the Aldi, which is my last step. I go with that list, I go to the Aldi, and I purchase everything that is cheaper at the Aldi. And that is what makes it so easy to have that app, because when I look at that list, I can see, okay, is the bag of apples actually cheaper at the Aldi? Because that is not always the case. But sometimes there are things that are way more expensive at the name brand store than at the Aldi. For example, bananas are always 20-30 cents more expensive at the name brand store than they are at the Aldi. So I will just take that list, go to the Aldi, and look at, okay, is this cheaper? And look at the price per ounce, because that actually makes a big difference, because sometimes it can look cheaper at one of the two stores, but it actually isn't when you look at the price per ounce. So anyway, that is what I do. I go to the Aldi, get everything that is cheaper at the Aldi, and then the rest I will get at the name brand store. And then I will always stay within my budget because I saved a few dollars at the Aldi, and then the rest I can get at the name brand store. And we stayed within budget perfectly that week. So that is what I always do. And like I said, I will stock up in the weeks that I have money left over, just to make sure that I always have food in the pantry, but also that I make sure that I have food that I can actually use when I don't have any budget left over. So that makes it so much easier to stick to our budget and to cook healthy and delicious meals, because I have a ton of stuff in the pantry that we love, that we're gonna use, that we use in our low budget meals. So that always helps us a ton. So those are the 7 things that we love to do, or that I love to do, to stay within our budget. And it has helped me so many times in the last couple of years. So I really pray that this is actually going to help you too. Now, if you have any questions, let me know down below. I'm very excited about my ebook that is coming next week, so stay tuned for that. And I would love to have you here as a subscriber. So feel free to subscribe, and I would love to see you in my next video.